Yes, here we go. Sports Bet Betting Insight today. Pauly and Teddy, Monday, September 10th. Monday Night Football doubleheader. We'll get to that coming up, and we are on fire. 3-0-1 over the weekend. We'll get to the free play of the day coming up. Before we get out of here, we'll go rapid fire with those two games because we have to recap everything in the NFL. Don't forget to enter the Beat the Prick contest. Professional handicapper will make 5 picks. Got to have them in by 5 o'clock Eastern on Tuesday. 5 plays each week to be eligible for the prize. 70 total plays over 14 weeks of the contest. $50,000 in cash prizes. First place, 10 grand, paid out in Bitcoin. You got to love it. Sports Bet Betting Insight today, Pauly and Teddy. All the betting news you need to know in less than 20 minutes. Let's start with bad beats, and there's plenty of them. How about the Titans-Dolphins game under 44 or 45? It was the longest game in NFL history. It took 7 hours to play the sucker. 34 points in the fourth quarter, Teddy. Tennessee kicks a field goal with 10 seconds left. They lose 27-20. Mariota got hurt. It looks like Walker's out for the year. Lewin got hurt. Bad start for the Titans, and it's tough to win in Miami in September.
And it's tough. It's a brutal beat if you had the under in this ball game.
Yeah.
The Titans, it's 10-3 in the fourth quarter. The Titans just lost their left tackle. They lost their quarterback. They're not supposed to score. Miami's not supposed to score. But lo and behold, when you're talking about a 7-hour marathon, you look at the Tennessee Titans, this was the longest game in NFL history by like 2 hours. It says, the Titans tweet this now the longest game since the 1970 NFL-AFL merger. The previous record, 5 hours, 16 minutes, the Bears-Ravens in 2013. I mean, this game was the early start, and it ended after the late start game. So to see the defenses worn down like that in the fourth quarter, to see that game sneak over late, that's just brutal. That's a really bad beat, one that nobody's talking about today. That's the worst beat of the day on Sunday, period.
Well, the Bears' money line was up there as well, led by 17 in the fourth quarter. Play of the day winner. Horrible job by Nagy. He sat on the lead in the second half. And then on 3rd and 1, with the Packers out of timeouts, he doesn't run the ball when they're having a lot of success on the ground. Incomplete pass. And Rodgers was going to, although Fuller dropped a gift interception, Rodgers, what a comeback as he takes some 75 yards. Packers were as high as 17-1 in play when they were down 20-0.
Yeah, and deserved to be so. But when you talk about a coach and a quarterback that had everything working and then choked it away, Trubisky wasn't pretty in the second half of that game last night. He had to make plays, and he didn't make any plays. And this is a guy I thought was going to be a monster in that ballgame. He started out like a monster, wasn't there. Obviously, if you had the Bears on the money line, that's brutal. Hopefully, you at least had Chicago plus the points to mitigate some of that difficult defeat.
All right. You're not supposed to tease through 0. That's one of the rules on our show with the teasers. But if you had the Colts on a teaser, that was tough as the defensive touchdown late. Colts were up double digits in the game, and they lose by 11, and a ton of money on the Bengals, which we'll talk about in a second. Mixon ran the ball well. A.J. Green, Ross had a touchdown. Bengals offense looked good.
Yeah, I mean, look, remember, Indy was as high as +1. There were even, I think, a couple of +1.5s out there on game day. You're teasing that up above a touchdown. You got the Colts, they were 3-point chalk, using a 6-point teaser to get them to 7-point dogs. And they're covering wire to wire, and they're marching down the field to go in to win the game. And then, oops, Jack Doyle fumble, taken back the other way. What was it, 80-something yards for the clinching score for Cincinnati. That's a really tough beat for Indy on the teaser line. But, of course, that's the way the late defensive touchdowns are. They will screw somebody more often than they don't. And they certainly did for Colts teaser bettors yesterday.
All right, bad for the books. We'll do college on Tuesdays, NFL on Mondays. The Browns-Steelers total opened 47.5 in the summer, or, close to the week, whatever, game time. A couple weeks ago, down to 40.5 or 41 with the bad weather. It fell 42. And also the Browns opened 7-point dogs, bet down to 3. Not impressed with the Browns. How are you +5 in the turnover battle at home and you're down 14 with 7 minutes left? How about this tweet from Bill Barnwell? The Browns are +5 in takeaways. Since they returned to the NFL, teams with a turnover margin of +5 or better in a game are 132, 4-1. The Browns are responsible for 2 of the losses and the tie. Ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. The rest of the league is 130-2 with one tie. No, 130
Well,
and
the
2
Browns have the tie.
in these games, and the Browns are 2-1. You know, that's all you need to know if you're Cleveland. I mean, for as poorly as Pittsburgh played in that ball game. I mean, look, the books took a beating on this contest. The wise guys were all over Cleveland. They finally cashed Browns tickets. Everybody in the world seemed to bet the under, and most of those tickets cashed because there was no field goal in overtime. Both teams botching their field goal tries. But yeah, the weather was bad. Yeah, Pittsburgh was out of sync a little bit. No, Le'Veon Bell, no problem. James Conner comes in. What do we say, Pauly? Running backs don't matter. Anyone that pays a running back, get what you deserve. The Steelers management made the decision not to pay Le'Veon Bell and sign him up for the deal. James Conner fills in, no problem. But all the turnovers doom Pittsburgh's chances. Not a well-played game in pretty lousy conditions for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And Connor fumbled that gave the Cleveland the ball at the 1 yard line. Packers-Bears total lands in the middle, open 48, close 45, lands 47. This was a bloodbath. Ravens opened 3.5 in the summer, got as high as 9 in Las Vegas, 47-3. The Bills don't get a first down in the first half. That's enough of Nathan Peterman. I don't want to see him again. He can't play.
And Peterman, in college, he showed some potential at Pitt. He had a bunch of big games. He showed run pass. And then in the NFL, he's been put in lousy spots. He's put in a really lousy spot in that Chargers game against an elite defense with a banged-up offensive line. He got crushed. Yesterday, put in a lousy spot behind a very weak Bills offensive line again this year against a hungry Baltimore team. And, man, that game was over early and a disaster for the books. I don't think they'll have a worse game. I'm sure they will have a worse game at some point, but that was a pretty ugly result. Nothing but Baltimore money. And again, Baltimore money came in June and in July and in August and in September. I mean, it wasn't like a little bit of bets. It was a steady flow of Ravens money for 4 months on that game. Yeah, the books took a beating on that one.
Bengals +3 went off the favorite in some spots, won by 11. Vikings 4.5 up to 6.5. Won by 8. Garoppolo finally loses a game. Broncos open 1.5, got as high as 3.5. Books got sided there as it lands 3 there. Keenum with 3 interceptions kept both teams in the game. And Dolphins from +2.5 down to pick. They beat the Titans as well.
Yeah, there was a lot of Miami money on game day. And I don't know exactly where that money was coming from. Was that they were worried about the weather? They were worried about Mariota's health. They were worried about some of the issues for Tennessee. Because I know there hasn't been any love for Miami in the betting market. So somebody knew something about what was going on in Tennessee prior to kickoff yesterday. Dolphins took a ton of money. That was bad. And look, I cashed a big ticket on Minnesota. I don't know if they were the right side, and they weren't the right side in that game. They got there for me, and they led wire to wire. But don't be fooled by the box score numbers for Garoppolo. Garoppolo was fantastic yesterday. He was better than Kirk Cousins. Yeah, he threw some picks. Minnesota's defense is pretty good. They're capable of making even good quarterbacks struggle. But if you're talking about a line that's going to move, San Fran opened 3 against Detroit. That one's only going up.
Bad bets. This knocked out everyone in their survivor pool. And this was a Scoop Jackson. Wipe out all the money line parlays and the teasers. Saints from 7 up to 10. Give up 48 points at home. Was a defensive touchdown. 41 points. Fitzpatrick with the game of his life. 400 yards passing and accounts for 5 touchdowns. They've now lost 6 straight season openers. I don't know what it is with Sean Payton starting seasons, but they got blitzed in this one. And Arizona from pick up to 2.5, blown out at home. They had 200 yards of total offense, and they had a 75-yard drive at late in the game in garbage time to avoid the shutout. They stunk.
Yeah, they sure did. Here's the tweet from ESPN Stats and Info about the Saints' struggles on opening day under Sean Payton, who doesn't have his team ready coming out of camp. The opposing quarterbacks in those games have averaged 367 passing yards while throwing 14 pass touchdowns without an interception. Saints defense showed promise last year, had a very, very rough season opener. Obviously, you talked about Arizona. It's going to be a rough year in Arizona. Buffalo and Arizona were the 2 teams that really got steamed down in the season total win marketplace. And if you watch both those teams play week 1, you can understand why.
And one more. You bought into it, didn't you? You bought into the Chargers hype again. We got up to 3.5 at home. Benjamin drops a touchdown. 4 drops by the wide receivers. They couldn't help out Rivers. Benjamin fumbles a punt inside the 10. Mahomes looked great. 4 touchdowns. Hill was awesome. Big road win for the Chiefs. And as I talked about when we did the team preview, and we talked about the Chargers a while back, notice how many empty seats at this game. It holds 27,000, for Christ's sake. It's week 1 in the number 2 market. Empty seats all over the place. Chargers lose.
Yeah, the only guys that were there were Chiefs fans. There was a loud and vocal and boisterous Kansas City community at the StubHub Center yesterday. And obviously bought into it. No, I had the Chiefs. Let's put it this way. I got the Chiefs over 8.5 wins. I got the Chiefs in this game plus the points. I had the Chiefs on the money line. I thought it was as easy a bet as there was. Tyreek Hill. You had him in fantasy yesterday. You had a real good day. This will not be his only explosion over the course of the season. No. Tyreek Hill is a legit, scary playmaker, the kind of guy that everybody's going to know what his name is over the course of the next couple of weeks. This guy is flat out fun to watch. And 3 touchdowns yesterday, and 2 of them were just like, what did he just do? Like the show? Help us keep the lights on. Please make sure to comment, share, and subscribe to all the Sportsbook Review videos. Thanks so much. Best of luck. Enjoy the game.